let's just get this all in here. There's a lot to take in. Unfortunately, this has no remote. Did not come with a little remote that sits in here. And when I went to go look at it, it was just a quick glance. It took a tape most of the times I tried, but I couldn't find any transport controls. When I got it home, I realized that they're hidden up here. I was worried that it was like that one JVC model where all your controls are only on the remote, and if you lose your remote, you're screwed. Oh, I guess you could get a universal, but yeah. So yeah, first bad sign is that the top was already removed. There were no screws on it, so that means it probably had a previous issue. And removing the top, let's see if you can spot the first thing I noticed. Well, that's the first thing I'm going to be doing, is removing that. Okay, first try. I'm just going to turn these down. Now I have a play button. Oh man. So much going on. So let's see what happens. I already know that this pinch roller is pitted and just garbage. So I got some rubber renew. I'm going to see if I can restore that. I know I'm going to need to. Oh. Yeah, not a chance. Nothing there either. Is that? It's making a sound. It might have just been hitting the tape. Well, I bet you the belts are bad. It can go in the backside, and maybe what I'll do is I'll run some rubber renew on this and the idler, because I know I don't have a replacement idler, and I'll check to see if I have any belts that could work on this, and I'll meet you back here. Caution, do not remove this cover. You can't tell me what to do. Alright, I'm very appreciative that they've used all the same screw sizes, so I don't have to worry about mixing these up. So there's a bunch of screws, takes the bottom plate off, and then a bunch more screws open these circuit boards to, oh my god, look at that. Like, this is 1984 doing everything under the sun. The drawer seems to work better on its side though, he says, and then it doesn't work. Now, this belt is not too bad, but it could also just be it needs more lubricating and whatnot. Okay, and looking under here, there are no belts. Got a direct drive motor for the idler. Another motor. That is possibly the mode switch down there, that little black thing. Yeah, it looks like a mode switch. And then we got the drum motor, and another big ass motor for the capstan, and another motor, and I think there's another motor on the top for the loading. Like, this is all direct drive. So it could just be that idler needs to be cleaned. And of course the pinch roller. Alright, let's see what I can use. These are some cheap eBay flat belts. Those are pretty specific. These I believe are a kit for something. Maybe not. These are tiny, tiny square belts. I might be able to find one there. More flat belts. Or if I really just want to say screw it, I could just put some elastic bands in there. These won't last as long and they're a lot stretchier. In a bind they'll do. But they might be stronger than these crappy little Walkman square belts. Alright, well, this belt didn't seem too bad. It's definitely lost its elasticity though. It's not bad for the age. So I replaced it with one of these slightly thinner, but this one's actually the same size. I put a slightly smaller one in. And I'm gonna grease up all the gears, or lube them up so that they move better. But it seems to be working nicely. And I think really, like, that's it on the bottom. I'm gonna put this together and go back to the top. All the action is up there. Alright, I've been tinkering a little bit just to show off this drawer. Seems to work nicely now. So that's good. Completely unrelated to anything important on this. I took this outside and ran some rubber renew on it. It's still pretty nasty, but the problem isn't to do with the rubber, which I'll show you shortly. So I've just taped up my little sensor. And I can pull this in. It's more of a two-handed thing. There we go. So I just faked the tape inside. And this is a little bit worn. However, it is getting better. So when I do things like rewind, fast forward, it's getting more and more tension as I move this back and forth. I don't know if it's necessarily the rubber or if this just needs to be lubed up, and it's got a weak spring. But it is getting better. Much better, actually. It wouldn't even spool the tape up after I hit stop, and now it's getting pretty good. Noisy motor though. It's getting better. But the big problem is when I hit play. So watch this pinch roller. Not really where it's supposed to be. And I can't even push it there. It is tied to a linkage that goes all the way down here. And if you take a look at, this is all shaky. Here you see that this hasn't slid all the way. So when I hit stop, you'll see it slide back. So either this needs to be lubed up and it's dried, or something from the bottom, maybe one of those gears, is driving it and not working correctly. The other thing is I'm hearing a little bit of a rattling coming from this head when it spins down. I'm hoping that there isn't something like the rotary transformer rubbing. Maybe there's just a piece of dirt rattling around inside. It seems to spin real freely, so. But until I can get this to touch, I can't even test this to see if it's worth continuing. Well, holy shit. I didn't actually think this would work. Based on finding that paper clip in here, I went, well, maybe a gear in here skipped a tooth or something and it's not quite lined up. I noticed that it also moves that little arm that comes up and is used to adjust the tension band, and the tension band, even with that arm all the way out, was receiving no tension, so that also wasn't fully engaged. And it all comes back to this cam gear. And so I went, well, I'm just gonna screw around. I'm gonna mark where this is right now with a red Sharpie, And I'm going to take this the mode switch, and I'm going to just move it one tooth, just so everything moves a little further, and just to, just to see what happens. Whatever. We're just playing here. It's all good. We're friends here. And watch what happens when I hit play. Is that a engaged pinch roller? I think it is. Now let's see. This still isn't really giving me any tension, so there might be other problems. But I think this is enough to sit it on its butt and try a tape. Like that's getting a lot more grip. Yeah, let's do it. Let's see what happens. Well, I think I spoke too soon. Take a look at where these are in relation to everything else. So your cassette is sitting here, and where are my tape guides? They are not in their home position. So by moving my, what is that damn switch called? Mode switch? Anyway, the lesson here is I need to move it back, but another gear has most likely slipped. So there's another gear between the motor drive, so from the motor to that sensor, and these two arms that control the guides, those are all okay. But the gear over here that moves this arm all the way up to here, where that paper clip was inside here, that has been either bent or a tooth has been skipped on a gear. Well, crap. I think we might be at the end of the line. I thought, well, it really seems to be mode switch related, because every once in a while it'll just load the tape guides, just keep going, put the pinch roller in, go far, and then just stop. And it'll have gone so far that it'll never move back if I reset the machine, whatever, and I'll have to manually wind the loading motor back past a certain point, and then it'll come back and do what it normally does. So I popped this out thinking, maybe it needs a cleaning. And I noticed that, so this is just a round shaft. There's no indent, there's no key. And this gear, which yes, it does have some timing marks on it, like it just spins freely on that. There are some hairline cracks that I don't think will show on here. No, it won't focus. But there's 3 hairline cracks on the outside of this, which I think contributes it to its spinning. But if this doesn't have a key, isn't there always the risk that this one will get out of timing? Because, like, what's the point of timing marks on this if it can just change here? It makes no sense. This whole thing makes no sense. This really does seem like the problem, but I don't know, man. Seems like a bad design. Maybe I'm just too stupid to comprehend what a brilliant design this is. More timing. So I gave up on marking this. If you take a look, there's a little thing you can stick a flat blade screwdriver in, and you can manually adjust this against what's happening here. So the goal is, if you see this position here, what I was doing is essentially hitting play and then letting it spin up, and whatever position it moves these guides into and stops, that measures 2 kiloohm. It's 2.2 during loading, and then 2 once it reaches that position. And there's a little section of 2 kiloohm in there. And then on the other ends you can see 2.2, and then it has a bunch of other stuff around there. But that's the one I care about, because once I played with this enough to get it to load and unload, it would keep trying to unload, because obviously it needs to go a lot further because it wasn't going far enough in. So what I would do is I would back this off a little bit, And I finally have it now where, let's see what happens when I hit play. This loads, and the brake, I have tension on this band. So let's stop. So this thing's crazy. You don't mark it and set it. You actually have to manually adjust and line this thing up with a flat blade screwdriver. And I'm sure in the service manual somewhere it tells you exactly how to do that. But I just sort of winged it. So I'm gonna pop this bottom board on and see what happens. Would you look at that? As far as I can tell, there's no audio at all. But it's playing. Okay, what can I do to get audio? Ooh. Oh, look at that.
Any hurry?
Oh, look at that. I better shut that audio off. Oh man, it actually works. And I can turn the volume up and down on the tuner. And this is my favorite part here. Oops. Look at it. Look at it dance. It's like a little party animation. Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. So now, if I go and say counter, so this is telling me how much tape is left. And I can adjust, so it, as soon as I change the tape size here, then it needs to recalculate how much is remaining. So I'll set it back to T120, which I think that's what this is, or thereabouts. And so it's saying I got 15 minutes left. That's pretty cool. You know what? Picture ain't half bad. I don't have pause. I'm gonna have to get my universal remote programmed for this. And the stereo sounded very, very good. But interestingly enough, I think I didn't have audio on linear.
Volunteered to become Doug Quaid. It was the only way.
Yeah.
Wasn't in on it. You set him off by going to recall.
Funny enough, the one thing I was interested in is what's not working on it. So I got clicking on one channel and nothing on the other.
Again, I have to hand it to you. It's the best mindfuck yet.
Well, I'm done for tonight. I think tomorrow I will tackle the next bit.